Hey there, today I am joined by Will from House Party Protocol to talk about his roster for the Three Box Challenge. My name is Nate, and welcome to the Gamers Guild. And for those who are not aware of what the Three Box Challenge is, Mark, aka the Roster Doctor, has presented myself along with 15 other content creators, I guess including himself, 14 depending on how you want to see it and do the math and how I say it, it all gets funky and weird. But really, the main point here is he basically issued a challenge to all of us to come up with a roster of characters using just the core box and three additional uh, Marvel Crisis Protocol expansions as a great way to kind of showcase the different affiliations, even at basically showing, hey, you don't need to have everything for this game. You really just need these three boxes to make this affiliation work. And so throughout uh, really across the world, we have content creators who have come up with different options, and I'm going to try to get at least a few of them onto the channel here to showcase what they were able to come up with. And our lone representative that I know of, at least, for X Men, we have Will from House Party Protocol.
What's happening, Gamers Guild? Glad to be here. I appreciate you inviting me on, Nate. I'm really excited to talk about this. And I do think I'm the only person that's like all in X Men. I think the other people might have like the flexibility.
Yeah, there's a lot of people who have also done X Force, but they're really leaning into X Force. And technically, I guess, can you do X Force? Maybe not.
I think it's
No,
maybe
you don't have any of the other members. So no, I guess you were all in on the X Men theme.
That's right. So it's one of those things where I thought about trying to flex X Force by bringing like a Sabretooth and Wolverine box. But, I figured let's see if we can get X Men to do excellent things.
I like all these X puns. So, what are the three boxes you chose to bring for your roster?
So, first up, I chose the leaders, obviously, Cyclops and Storm. Next up, I chose Cable and Domino because I am apparently in a relationship with Cable, as evidenced by my recent amount of playing him every game on the table. And then
Hmm.
Domino's just really great. And
Yep,
then
and both are in affiliation options, which always is a plus.
exactly, they are in affiliation options, and a little bit of a spoiler alert for down the line, they come with a crisis card I really like.
You're
Additionally,
gross.
yeah, I brought Beast and Mystique. And this one was really hard for me because I've been playing a lot of Jean and Cassandra Nova lately, and I really wanted to bring that box instead of this box.
Hmm.
But alas, the cooler heads prevailed, and I felt like having access to deception, having access to advanced R&D made more sense. Plus, I don't have a lot of reps in with Beast right now, and I haven't played him in a while, so I wanted to get some more work with him.
Yeah, absolutely. And for anybody who is new to what this challenge is, we can only pick not just characters, but also crisis and tactic cards from the core set and these three chosen boxes. So, you brought all these boxes? Are you bringing all the characters from the different expansions that you brought?
Yes. So every character expansion that I brought is in the list. So that's 6 characters there. And then to round out for my core set characters, I'm throwing in Baron Zemo because Baron Zemo is just good. And kind of as I'll talk about a little while, he kind of brings an interesting thing to what I'm trying to do. I don't know how successful it's going to be, but I'm trying to do a thing. And Zemo kind of helps that thing get going.
Hmm.
And then we've got Black Widow, who will be an integral part of every squad I field because I need her for the point values.
Yep, just being the lone two threat option makes her necessary because while for the most part we're going to be seeing a lot of 17, uh, having the flexibility there, and I think for what you're going for, you're going to be running her more times than not anyway.
Exactly, exactly. Then we've got Dr. Octopus because I like his range. I really like that he has those range abilities. He is a nice power generating battery with scientific hubris, and he has access to a throw, which gives me a little bit of control.
Yep. And speaking of control, you brought in All Star Peter Parker.
Exactly. So we've got Peter Parker Spider Man, the much maligned core box Spider Man. But you know what? I kind of like him, especially for, again, what I'm trying to do. Brings that little bit of control, has some range to his kit, and is pretty survivable and gets a long mover on the board if I need it.
Yeah, I mean everybody can talk all the smack they want. He was used and made top cut finals for the latest TTS league, so I think he is doing a okay. So that is your 10 characters, and you've already hinted that the Beast and Mystique box brought you some interesting tactic cards to use. What are your 8 tactic cards in total?
So I've got advanced R&D, like I mentioned. I've got the Brace for Impact from the core set. That's my only restricted card because Patch Up was an option, but I don't feel like that we're going to see a lot of clumped up play. Like my personal play might be a little bit more clumped up than some of the other people's play, but I don't see myself needing a patch up specifically for what it does. So I left that one at home.
Mm-hmm.
Then I've got Children of the Atom. So it's an X-Men specific card that allows me to remove a special condition from an X-Men character and gain 1 power for each condition I remove. So I get to remove all my conditions, gain a power. It's one that I don't think has a ton of utility all the time, but it's going to be really interesting if I see like a Hawkeye or a Scarlet Witch or something like that across the table from me.
For sure.
Next up, we have Deception, because Deception is awesome. We have Disarm, and that's because you have been banging the drum for the Disarm, and it's really strong. I mean, being able to say, hey, Thor, you're only going to roll 4 dice for this whole round. Enjoy. You know?
Yeah, no, being able to, and I'll get out my soapbox real quick. It's really good, especially with all these characters that we have that are making multiple attacks in a turn. Being able to reduce all the rapid fire effects like Domino and Mystique, characters like Medusa rolling less dice, and then those characters that are depending on certain results to have more effectiveness. Thor with his throw, I think, is a great example you've already brought up.
Exactly. So love it. And then we've got First Class, which I think is the card that is going to single handedly help me out the most. And
Mm-hmm.
it allows me to interact with objectives. X-Men characters can interact with objectives without having to spend power on the first time they interact in a round. So, with kind of the expectation that we are going to see a lot of similar crises out there, it will allow me to kind of gain a leg up maybe in the cube fragments area or the spider infected area or even trying to flip an origin bomb, stuff like that. So I really like that it gives me access to that and allows me to save some power or double interact on a turn, which I really like.
Mm-hmm.
So that's an important one there. Then we brought Recalibration Matrix because who doesn't like whiffing a roll and then being able to just re-roll the whole thing?
Yep, always something to be able to feel good as long as you've got the extra little bit of power in the bank for it.
Exactly. And then lastly, we have To Me, My X Men. And basically, one of my leaders can spend 1 power, or as much power as they want, to have other X Men characters move toward them. So I really like that as a kind of get out of dodge thing. Maybe if I'm running a storm leadership, get people back into that cover range or something like that. So I think it's going to have limited utility, but I'm excited to try it.
Yep, absolutely. And so that's all the tactic cards. The extracts, you didn't even have the option to bring in anything fancy. You've got the Scrolls Infiltrate World Leadership, the Spider Infected, and the Struggle for the Cosmic Cube. All 17, all come with the core set. But in your secures, you have some flexibility that you have brought in. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so we'll start with the core set secure I brought, and that's the Deadly Meteors Mutate Civilians, so Origin Bombs. That's one, it's a C shape straight across the middle. And I really like that because, again, strategy wise, that we're going to talk about here in a second, it plays into what I'm trying to do. And then I brought in Mutant Madman turns city center into lethal amusement park. Basically, traps, if you want to think about it like that. It's 18 threat, and it came with the Storm and Cyclops box. It's a B shape. So I'm excited to try that. I think everyone in this challenge is more or less planning on 17, and they probably have good options to flex into these other threat values, but 18 is kind of a weird number. So I'm excited to see kind of what that does there. But then the one I'm most excited to try in this format is Sword establishes base on Moon's blue area. And that's 14 threat. It's the one that came with Cable and Domino. Again, C shape, so straight across the middle. And it's pay one to interact. So I really love that. And it's 14 threat. So forcing those lower threat values, and even my own list isn't optimal at 14, but I really
Hmm.
like what I bring to a 14 threat match. And I think it could be a lot of fun.
Yeah, and more often than not, it's really just more debilitating to your opponent and what they're able to bring.
Exactly. And that's kind of where my head was with it is no one's going to be expecting 14, I don't think. So if I win priority and get to pick secures and this comes out, which I think is only 33% likely,
Hmm.
either way, I think that this will definitely throw things for a loop, throw a wrench in the loop. Yeah, that'll work. So yeah, I'm excited to try that out.
Yeah, man, and I'm excited to start getting games in. Those will start next week. I know that you're going to be streaming your games, and all of them will end up recorded and probably going to the Roster Doctor's YouTube channel, where he has a lot of just recorded games for prosperity's sake. Anything else you'd like to shout out here at the end, man?
Well, since this is the end, I will go ahead and say overall strategy wise, I mentioned that a couple of times earlier, but without actually saying what it is. I'm going to try to gunline people, basically. Like I'm going to play as far away as possible and shoot everything. So that's basically my plan. So if you're playing me in this and you're listening to this, watching this, enjoy, because that's what I'm going to try to do.
Yep,
We'll
nope.
see
I
how it
mean,
works out.
Cyclops, Domino, Cable, all longer range characters that probably want to keep their opponents at range, be able to put out some significant hurt.
Exactly. Exactly. So I'm excited to try all of this. I think it's going to be very fun. And I guess the last thing I want to shout out is you, Nate. You know, I appreciate everything you do with this channel, and I appreciate you having me on. And shout out to Mark and the other creators that are doing all this. I think it's going to be a really great, fun time.
Yeah, absolutely. Alrighty, sir. Well, thank you, and for all of the people watching slash listening to this, thank you for your clicking on this video. It's always super appreciated. If you weren't aware, the guild is sponsored by Tritex Games over in the UK. They offer all of your MCP product needs, and if you use the code TritexGGCP5 at checkout, it'll save you an extra 5% off of all of your MC purchases in the cart. And with that, guys, thank you also, of course, to all the patrons who are supporting the guild through the Guild Hall program. I appreciate everything that you guys are have donated to this channel to keep it running and going smoothly for me. So thank you all for watching, and until next time, keep on gaming.